Brilliant. So thank you so much. I was going to say welcome to everyone who's watching this. And I am together joined with Charlotte, and we're going to be hosting a five-part series on the different stages of supporting the pregnancy from IVF all the way through the stages of pregnancy. So I will go on to speak later on, but for now, I'll leave you in the capable hands of Charlotte.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. So I'm just going to share a short presentation about the use of hypnotherapy for your fertility journey. So I am a hypnobirthing teacher, but we're looking specifically today at hypnotherapy for fertility treatment and IVF, whatever that looks like. So I shall just share my screen. Okay. Hopefully everyone can see that. Richelle, can you give me a thumbs up if you can see? Brilliant. Okay, so welcome. I'm really looking forward to going through this topic with you today. As Richelle mentioned, we are collabing at the minute on a series called the Calm Birth Blueprint, which is going to be a series of events like this where we go through how to use nutrition, which is Richelle's area, and hypnobirthing or hypnotherapy, which is my area, to help support your fertility, pregnancy, and maybe a little bit of postpartum. We'll see how we go. Journey. So we're really glad that you can be with us today. So I'm Charlotte. I am a mum of three children, and it's the experience of having those children that has led me to teach hypnobirthing. So I only used hypnobirthing with two of my pregnancies. The first time around, I thought I knew it all, as we do. But I was soon proved wrong by my experience of that birth. And then in my second pregnancy, I read a book on hypnobirthing, and it completely changed the way I felt about giving birth, about what my body was capable of, and what I was capable of. And it really opened my eyes to the mind and body connection. So I'm now a hypnobirthing teacher and run my own business called Hello World Hypnobirthing. And through that, I've just started exploring different ways in which hypnosis can be applied. So one of the things that I've become really interested in is the use of hypnotherapy in, it says that assisted reproduction, but what we're talking about is any sort of fertility journey, and that includes IVF as well. So I think a lot of people think hypnosis is some kind of Paul McKenna mind trick, or Derren Brown, I'm going to escape from a box and no one will see me do it. But I don't use that kind of hypnosis when I'm teaching my clients. The type of hypnosis that we are talking about is sort of a really focused state of attention or a deep relaxation. So think about like when you're just about to drop off to sleep, and you feel really, really relaxed. That's the sort of state that we're looking at. Or sometimes like on your daily commute, if it's a journey that you do all the time, you might find yourself, say, driving to work and you've not really like consciously thought about each set of traffic lights or each roundabout because you know the route so well that you've sort of gone into this sort of semi-trance-like state, hopefully not too much in the car. But it's that kind of relaxed state that we're looking at, where we apply the hypnosis. Hypnotherapy is just the application of that concept basically to anything. And you probably will have heard people have hypnotherapy for things like smoking or weight loss or stopping drinking or other general like lifestyle habits that they're trying to change. But quite a few people do have it in conjunction with their fertility treatment. And there are some really good research papers out there that demonstrate what the impact that hypnotherapy can have on the success of any fertility treatment. So if anyone has been through the IVF process or is currently looking into it, you will know that it's very stressful. So obviously when we're younger, when we're kids, we might talk about what kind of family we're going to have, how many children we want to have. And when you become an adult and that doesn't quite go to plan, it can be really damaging for you, like stressful, and you may feel a bit of shame, a bit of guilt, like why can't my body do this for me? And so stress plays a really big part in the IVF process for most people. And this obviously is on both sides of the couple. So it could be an issue around the woman's fertility, or it may be on the man's side. And people just deal with things differently, and you may find that your relationship is starting to change as you're going through these periods of high stress. So IVF, as probably most people know, that is a process of retrieving eggs from the woman, fertilizing them externally to the uterus, and then putting them back in, basically to see if they take. And all of those processes are very involved, very personal, sometimes very expensive as well. And all of these things can mean that you are experiencing extremely high levels of stress, and your body has a reaction to this. So when we feel stressed, we release a lot of adrenaline and cortisol, and these aren't particularly helpful for our body when we're thinking about getting pregnant. When you think about having a baby, the body wants to be in the best position it can be to get pregnant. So if you're feeling really, really stressed and tense, and all these sort of hormones are flowing around your body, your body will react to that and be like, oh, is it actually safe for us to go ahead and get pregnant? So it can really impact the success of these different parts of the IVF journey. Obviously, as well, as it says on the slide, IVF is emotionally challenging, and all of these emotions come to play when we're trying to get our body to do something like getting pregnant that we really, really want. So hypnosis can be something that is really, really good to plug in to try and help lower the levels of stress that you're feeling. So as it says here, hypnotherapy or hypnosis is really good at lowering anxiety, and it can help you feel calm and more confident during your treatment cycles. So just things like visualization, being able to sort of take yourself away from the procedures that are happening in your own mind, and maybe going somewhere you like a holiday or a favorite walk or something like that in your mind. That can really, really help relax your body and make it more open to the treatment that you're going through. It does help regulate the hormones, so particularly adrenaline and cortisol. So it will just help level those hormones down so that they're not sort of dominating in your system as well. And sort of physiologically, as I said, it can help give you a little pep talk with the use of affirmations and things like that. Help give you a pep talk and make you feel a bit better about yourself, and then you'll feel more confident and calm when you're going through those treatments. There are quite a lot of studies that look into the effect of hypnosis on lots of different treatments, not just fertility. People use it for cancer treatments as well and things like that. But there's a really good research paper by Alice Domer, which I would recommend you having a look at because that shows you the impact that hypnotherapy can have on your fertility journey. So when can it be used? I would say you can use hypnotherapy all the time. I personally use it quite a lot with my 3 kids, like breathing on the school run, a bit of visualization. I'll be home soon with a cup of tea. But I would recommend using it through your whole fertility journey. So from the moment that you start, really. It's particularly useful during the embryo transfer phase, because that is a phase where we want the body to be at the best it can be, and we want as sort of lower of those stressor hormones as possible. If you are looking into hypnotherapy for IVF, I would recommend looking for a qualified hypnotherapist who specialises in fertility as well. And then in terms of the future of looking at this topic, there does need to be more randomised controlled trials. There's not really enough research for us to like stick our sort of flag on it and say, yes, this definitely works. But there is a lot of preliminary evidence that does support hypnosis or hypnotherapy to help improve outcomes for fertility treatment. So it may just be something for you to consider going forward with your own journey. And I would definitely recommend it in pregnancy and for labour and birth as well. That's me. I feel like I chatted at you. But I'm quite open to any questions that you may have.
That was so good. I love you have so much knowledge, and it's really amazing. There's so much that we can do with our minds, and hearing the how many different kind of ways that you can use hypnobirthing is so important, and it's taught me a lot.
Thank you.
I know some people have given me questions to ask. One of them is, when is the best time to practice hypnosis?
Okay, so I kind of mentioned this a little bit along the way, but the best time to practice hypnosis is when you feel deeply relaxed. So for most people, that will be just before they go to bed. Although if that period is when you start running through your to-do list for the next day, then that's definitely not the most relaxed period of the day. But it could be when you're just sat down, like in the evening, maybe turn the TV off and just get really relaxed on the sofa. So yeah, it needs to be when you feel completely relaxed and free of any sort of external distractions.
Brilliant. And someone else asked me to ask, they said, I'm so busy with appointments and life in general, so how would you recommend fitting this in?
Yeah, I think yeah, that's a really good question. I think what we need to do is prioritize ourselves. So everybody's life is busy, and particularly if you're going to start a fertility journey or you're already in a fertility journey, you're probably quite busy. And definitely if you have a baby, you get very busy. But I just say prioritize yourself, and you kind of just have to carve out the time for yourself and deprioritize something else. Like other things can wait. You are the most important person in that scenario. So just make sure you're giving yourself the time and space to prepare properly for the journey you're about to go on.
Yeah, I think it's so important. And I think, and the other question that someone put to me was, can you recommend a hypnotherapist for me?
All right, yeah. Well, if that person, or if you, Richelle, want to pass that person's details on to me, I can definitely recommend. I work with quite a lot of hypnotherapists across the UK, and they deliver online as well. So if that person was from outside the UK, we can do that as well. But yeah, if they want to let me know their location, I can recommend a local hypnotherapist, which can be useful. If you don't want to do online and you want to do it in person, it's better to have somebody local, I think.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Right, that's
So,
lovely.
thank you. And so I am going to speak about, I don't have any slides. And also, I wanted to mention, I am not naked. I do have a top on for anyone who's watching and thinking that I haven't got clothes on. I
Not
thought I
that
should
kind of
better
show.
mention that.
It's not that kind of
Yeah,
show.
exactly. So I'm Richelle. Thank you, everybody who is watching this. I am a registered nurse. I specialize in fertility. I've been in fertility for 10 years. And I then retrained as a naturopathic nutritional therapist due to my own health journey that I went on. Felt a slight lack of support from orthodox medicine, and ended up supporting my own digestive issues, polycystic ovaries, and numerous musculoskeletal issues. And I'm now very, very well and healthy. And I love passing on my knowledge to people about what they can do for themselves. And today, what we'll talk about is how we can use nutrition as part of the IVF journey. Because a lot of the time, when you go through your IVF journey, a lot of the time nutrition may be slightly mentioned, but it's not really touched on. But there is a lot of evidence about what you can do yourself. And my opinion always with this is, you're spending firstly so much money to go through the journey. It's important to really look at what you can do yourself to give yourself the best chance. But also, it's about taking back power and control over yourself, and knowing that you're not just handing over the reins. It's about, what am I actually able to do for myself? So I'm very happy to, if you do watch this afterwards and would like some information, if you would like to provide your email address, I'm happy to send over information on this afterwards. But one of the major things that has been found to be helpful is the Mediterranean diet. So many people have heard about the Mediterranean diet and its impact and support in terms of cardiovascular health and blood sugar support. But actually, it's been really linked with IVF success, and it can promote a higher chance of achieving clinical pregnancy, live birth rate, increase the number of embryos that are made in an IVF cycle, and it can also lower the risk of infertility. So it really has a knock-on effect on numerous areas. And if we're looking at the Mediterranean diet, there are three main factors. One of them being to increase your amount of leafy green vegetables. So things like spinach, kale, broccoli, these will really help to boost the nutrients that we need. So things like folate and iron, things that are really important for cell development. And we really need to be supporting that cell function as we are going to be supporting the increased amount of eggs growing in the body. And this is just as important for men as well with their sperm production. And those vegetables will really help boost the antioxidants in the body as well. And antioxidants are really important because when we're going through the IVF journey, one of the things we need to do is limit the inflammation in the body. And inflammation, many people think that you may be able to see inflammation, but inflammation can be silent. It's what we call low grade inflammation. And this can have a really knock on effect on fertility. It's like what Charlotte mentioned before. If your body doesn't feel safe, it's not going to feel like it can house a pregnancy. And so we need to be lowering that inflammation and making sure the body is as safe as possible. So flooding the antioxidants into the body really helps to combat that inflammation. And the other factor with Mediterranean diet is oily fish, things like salmon and tuna and mackerel. We try to aim for the smaller oily fish because they have a reduced amount of heavy metals, things like mercury, which we really want to try and avoid. They are full of omega-3 fatty acids, and these are essential in supporting, again, reducing inflammation, but really helping that cell function and hormone regulation. So they can really help fertility in numerous ways. And omegas are really essential, specifically with the sperm. So if we're thinking about a sperm, the sperm head, which is where the largest part of the sperm is where the nucleus is, where all of the DNA matter is, that is made up of omegas. It's rich in omegas. So we really need to support that. So if you are going through the fertility journey, but even more specifically, if your partner has had a semen analysis they've got maybe a slightly reduced morphology, something like this, always recommend they get a really good amount of oily fish in the diet, and often will need omega supplements as well. And it's important to make sure that you speak to a practitioner about that and that you're getting a high quality one. And when you're talking about oily fish, it's important to be trying to aim for 2 to 3 portions a week to make sure that you are really getting those good amounts of omegas. And the third factor of the Mediterranean diet is legumes. So things like beans and peas and lentils. So they're high in fiber and protein, which are really crucial. We'll touch on that a little bit more later. But again, they're really rich in folate. And we need that folate to really support the neural development of the baby. And they're a fantastic way of getting like a really lean source of protein into the diet. If you are vegetarian, they are a great source of protein. It's just important to bear in mind that they are not complete proteins like you get in meat or fish. And so it's really good to get a variety of different beans in the diet to get that complete makeup of different, what we call amino acids. So it's important to really think about the different stages of the fertility process. So if we're thinking about what to eat in preparation for the egg retrieval, it's really important to look at what is going to be improving the egg quality in order to us to be able to get a good amount of eggs developing, but also a good quality of those eggs as well. So I've touched on antioxidants before, but these are really good at making sure that the eggs are protected from oxidative stress. So oxidative stress, again, we have it in our bodies naturally, but there are increased amounts from stress, from things you may have done, excess exercise, all of these things can, alcohol, smoking, they all increase oxidative stress. So it's really important to boost the foods that are really going to pump these antioxidants into the body. So we touched on leafy greens before, but really we want those dark fruits. Berries are fantastic. Things like green tea, things that have got what we call polyphenols, so plant compounds that are really high in those antioxidants. Nuts are fantastic. They're a great way of getting both omegas into the diet, but also other forms of healthy fats, things like omega 9s. They're really great for that. There are specific nuts, things like Brazil nuts, which also have nutrients like selenium. And selenium is also fantastic for supporting the sperm. So again, if you're watching this and your partner and you're going through fertility treatment, I always recommend that men do get a handful of Brazil nuts in their diet a day to really get that recommended daily allowance of selenium. And another fantastic food when you're preparing for egg retrieval are eggs. So not only are they high in protein, so they're helping the cells to replenish, but they are also rich in B vitamins, things like B12 and folate, so B9, really again supporting the energy production of the body and the DNA synthesis of those eggs. And if we're specifically delving into protein, it's really important to make sure that you are increasing your protein intake, not just while you're doing the IVF treatment, but also a month before. So, what I recommend people is a month before you start your fertility treatment. Ideally, you want to increase your protein. And you don't want to be measuring it out. You don't want to be stressed by any of this, but you definitely want to try and get a good amount of protein in your diet. So, firstly, aiming protein, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But also, you want to be aiming for a gram of protein per kilo of body weight a day. So if you weigh 68 kilos, let's say, you want to be aiming for 68 grams of protein a day. And you can get this, I mentioned before, meat, fish, eggs, you get some protein in beans. But if you really are struggling to get that protein into your diet, you can look at things like bone broths or protein shakes. Do you just want to make sure that you get a really high quality one? So one, for example, that is grass fed or, really high quality vegan one. But if you're someone who struggles with protein digestion, I always recommend that you do speak to a practitioner because you want to know that you are breaking down that protein well. It's super important. And yes, I mentioned that you want to increase the protein a month before egg collection, and you want to continue that as the stimulation goes through. So then if we're focusing on the foods to eat before embryo transfer, because this is the next stage. Initially, we've been focusing on supporting the growth of the eggs and the quality of the eggs, but now we're taking the eggs, we fertilize them with the sperm, and we're now looking at how we're going to implant that embryo back into the body and support that implantation. Because for a lot of people going through fertility treatment, it's not just about the getting pregnant part, it's about the maintaining part of it as well. So there are certain nutrients that have been shown to be really helpful in regards to maintaining that pregnancy. So, for example, vitamin E really has been found to support the endometrial thickness and really help maintain that lining. So foods like almonds, avocado are fantastic, or cold pressed oils are really rich in vitamin E as well. So really trying to get them into the diet. And again, omegas are really important. So we've talked about inflammation before. When people have got inflammation, and again, this can be silent inflammation, it has been shown to have a negative impact in terms of increasing the chance of miscarriage. So again, really trying to get those omegas, those oily fish into the diet can be really, really helpful. And you can get omegas also in eggs in a small amount, but you really need to, they check the back of the packet. It should say if they are omega rich eggs. We really want to reduce the inflammatory foods. So things like processed foods, sugary foods, these all increase the inflammation. So we really need to look to cut out, the takeaway meals as much as possible. And obviously we don't want to be stressed. We don't want to be avoiding everything to the point that we're struggling, but we do really want to be giving ourselves the best chance and putting ourselves first. So, once in a while you can have that takeaway, but it's really about trying to look at how can you build in healthy habits? How can we, instead of taking that pasta sauce, how can we make a really easy sauce? And I'm always happy to support people with really easy recipes for that as well. And so progesterone pessaries are what people are given as part of the fertility treatment. They can be really constipating. So again, it's really important to get lots of fiber into the diet and staying hydrated, really important as well for maintaining that hydration to the lining. A lot of people struggle with their uterine. They might notice in scans that they are having reduced blood flow. A really good thing is to make sure you are increasing hydration, and even sometimes in putting in things like electrolytes into your fluids can really help as well. And I touched on, really trying to limit things like alcohol. Evidence has shown that anything over 5 units a week can impact on miscarriage rates and increase them. So I do recommend that people do reduce alcohol, but also caffeine intake. So advice is ideally you want to stick to at least 200 milligrams a day as your maximum. But there has been evidence to show that ideally cutting out completely, especially if you're going through IVF treatment, can be beneficial. Because when you're going through IVF treatment, your body is already having to metabolize medications. The liver is having to work a little bit harder. And it's the liver that is the organ that metabolizes and breaks down caffeine. We really want it to be focusing on those medications and working at its optimum. So we want to try to limit the things it has to detoxify. So that is from me. And I will open it up to questions. But I think I was going to say, I know that there's one question that you mentioned,
Yeah,
Charlotte,
yeah.
that someone wanted to ask.
Yeah, we've got a question here about what is the difference between folic acid and folate acid?
So folic acid is the unmetabolized version, and folate is in its most active form. And so one of the issues is most people take folic acid, which is the cheapest form that is given to people. But if you are someone that does not break down folic acid well, it can build up into levels that can become dangerous to the body. Now, you're not going to know if you're one of those people unless you do a genetic test. And so I do, when people come through to me privately, I do recommend they do a genetic test, because if they are someone that can't break it down, I automatically will put them on methylfolate.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. We've also got what other tools apart from nutrition can be used to support IVF?
So one of the things is acupuncture. Make sure you're going to a fertility acupuncturist though, and someone specialized. But also yoga is fantastic because it's low intensity. It's great for the mind. It's great for the body as well. So there's fantastic ways that you can support your mind and body through the fertility process.
Yeah, that sounds good, especially the yoga bit. Nice and relaxing. Okay, so the next question is, are there any other considerations for specific conditions, for example, with my PCOS?
Yes, so there's definitely ways that we can tailor things. So, for example, if someone has PCOS, that has a degree of insulin resistance, so I will really focus a lot more on the blood sugar management, really look at how their insulin is functioning. Because if your body is not metabolizing sugar in a balanced way, that can have a really big impact on your hormone regulation. And so we really need to look to, because it doesn't matter how many drugs that you give, if your body is not metabolizing things well, the hormones, it's not potentially going to do much. So we really need to look at how we can impact those hormones ourselves.
And last one, you're getting grilled today, Richelle. The last question is, are there different supplements you would advise for women over 35?
Yeah, so there's evidence to show that, especially over the studies show that really 36 and over, you want to be taking things like coenzyme Q10, which is a nutrient that as we age does get depleted in our body. People might have heard of it for cardiovascular issues, but actually it's been shown to support fertility as well. So that's a great one I do recommend to people who are kind of the slightly, other side of 35.
Yeah, brilliant. Oh, thank you. I think that's all the questions we've got for today. Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Last one.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Oh, that was brilliant. I learned so much as well, Charlotte. Anything to do with kind of supporting the mind, I just think is so important.
Yeah, definitely. And we're both in the same field, aren't we? Like we're just there for women and birthing people to just make them feel more comfortable, confident, and to really work on their bodies and to prioritize their own health and well-being so that they can have the best fertility and pregnancy journey possible, and birth for me possible. So yeah, it's been really great to talk to you today. And yeah, we will share this recording and everyone can tune in and see it for themselves. But until next time, and look out for our next section actually, because the next one is first trimester, isn't it? We're going for. So we'll
Yeah,
be back as our double act, won't we?
amazing.
Mm.
Brilliant. Thanks, Charlotte. Nice to see you.
You too.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.